I've played over 200 hours of Wuchang Fallen Feathers. I have completed the game and I'm on chapter 5 on my New Game Plus. And here's my thoughts. As always, for a start, I like to talk about my expectations for the game. And this one wasn't on my radar. I was aware of it. I knew it was a Soulsborne game. It appeared on Game Pass, so I gave it a go. This is where my love and hate relationships start with this game. Basically, first 20 minutes, I was just not sold. I was out. Really poor performance. Frame rate stuttering, frame rate performance, graphics were looking a bit off. I wasn't particularly feeling the controls. I wasn't feel like the mechanics were working particularly well. It just felt all a little bit off. Then after an hour or so, I was starting to get used to the frame rate jutters. Because let's be honest, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, they don't perform very well. You kind of just get into that groove of accepting it, and that's what I have. Then I started to get used to the moveset, how this game works, and then it kind of got its hooks into me, got its claws into me. I started to enjoy it. So what's the story? You play a female pirate called Bei Wuchang. You have to go through this world, and there's loads of supernatural horrors which are all caused by this mysterious feathering disease. The story is very much like the Souls games. It doesn't hit you over the head with the story. It doesn't force you into the story. You pick little bits up by going through, talking to NPCs, finding various different letters and bits and bobs that just piece it all together. And that's the same with the side quests in the games. Very much like the Souls games. There is a bit of controversy around the story, and we'll get on to that later. So the setting of the game, if you'd have played Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Dynasty Warriors, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ghost of Tsushima, Rise of the Ronin, Black Myth Wukong, Nioh, Wukong Fallen Destiny, then you pretty much know what to expect from the setting of the game. The game itself is very similar to Soulsborne, Dark Souls, those type of games. Basically, you've got Red Mercury, which is your souls. You die, you don't lose all your Red Mercury, but you lose some of it. And then you go and collect them from where you died. One little niggle there is, doesn't put the Red Mercury outside of the boss area. We'll have to go in, collect them, but whatever. So you build up special attacks for your weapons and your magic by pretty much dodging, doing hits, and these kind of build up this feather meter. You can unlock blocking for each of your weapons, but it seems to be more geared around dodging. Your Red Mercury, is used to upgrade your character. You can do this at any shrine throughout the game that you find as you go through. These then essentially become fast travel points and places to re-heal. And in like other Souls games, this will refresh the area and the enemies around there. There is some red-eyed, so-called elite enemies. Once killed, won't refresh. When you level up using your Souls, Red Mercury, it will give you a token, or a level up point, should we say. Now this can be used in the skill tree to unlock points against agility, health, stamina, magic, feathering. It also unlocks different weapon abilities for the 4 key weapon types, which is longsword, twin blades, short sword and heavy axe. And upgrade your potion, basically your flask, the amount of times you can use your flask, and the potency of your flask. This is always coupled with not just Red Mercury, but some other kind of rare mineral that you find on your playthrough. Good news is, because of the way this skill tree works, there's so many options for doing different builds, and then changing them builds whenever you want as you go through. You could be heavy sword 1 minute, pure magic the next, short sword, whatever you want really. One novel mechanic in this game is madness. Basically, because you've been infected with the feathering disease, every time you die, you kill a human, you will gradually increase your madness. Over time this will increase your damage taken, damage given, and the amount of Red Mercury you get from killing enemies. When you hit 100% madness and die, when you then return to collect your Red Mercury, your inner demon will be there waiting for you to attack you. If it kills you, you pretty much lose all your souls. If you defeat it, it clears your madness and you regain all of your souls. Elemental damage plays a big role in this game. Certainly when you're fighting against bosses. For example, one boss, massive lightning damage. I just couldn't get him at all. Changed my armor, lightning resistance, it was a cakewalk. Graphically, it's rocking Unreal Engine 5, which is a bit of a mixed bag. We talked about some of the performance. It does have a quality mode. I'm running performance mode on Xbox Series X. It's got a lot of foliage, which makes some of it really pretty. It's one of those things when you're using Unreal Engine 5 where sometimes it just looks absolutely gorgeous, then can run really badly. For example, there's a snowy bit in there which is stunning. Some of it is absolutely beautiful, and then you have this undergrowth area which I can only describe as, to me, it's like Blight Town. It's just ugly, horrible. I'm not talking about the remastered version, and I'd be the first one to admit that that is personal preference. So I think we should talk about patch 1.5, which came out a few weeks after the launch. Good news is it improved iframes for your get up animation, which basically means that you're less likely to get the bosses just spamming you with special attacks. You just basically sat on your butt and die. Also speed up the healing animation and tweak performance. Onto the bad news. They've kind of changed the mechanics and kind of the story a little bit. Previously, you could kill anyone but important NPCs, quest givers, shopkeepers, etc. So you used to be able to attack farmers and various other NPCs, different faction people, whereas now you can't. So that breaks the mechanics with madness, because part of the mechanic was killing innocent people or people that are meant to be on your side would increase your madness. So what I found after the patch is my madness wasn't going up much, and I was hardly ever getting to a point where I would fight my inner demon. Also, this change would stop some of the bosses from dying. So normally all the bosses would die and they'd disappear. Now some of the bosses just get exhausted and sit there with a dialogue prompt. Clearly, this wasn't the intention with the game. This isn't something that's just been patched in because they forgot to do it. Allegedly, there's pressure from above. That's why the developers changed it. However, whether that's true or not, you can clearly tell that this isn't something that was built into the game's fabric from the beginning. I know there's mods out there that have taken this back. However, I do feel sorry for the developers, because surely this wasn't the intention of the game. You feel like there's been pressure from above to change this, which is sad because it's not their vision. Just to round up a little bit, other things that grind my gears about this game is loading times. In this day and age, they should be a lot shorter, and coupled with the fact that some of the shrines are too far away from the boss fights, which then just infuriates you even more. And then on top of that, one other thing that kind of irks me a little bit is massive open spaces. You don't have a horse or any other form of transport but yourself. There's loads of open spaces, so that coupled with load times, distance from boss fight, and running through massive open areas, a little bit annoying. And some of these massive open spaces that you go to and you run down and you go down, they lack enemies and also lack reward at the end of it. As I always say, this isn't a review, these are just my thoughts, but where does this game sit? At the top you have the Dark Souls games, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. This game sits around the Surge line. And people might say, Surge? The Surge? I like them games, I really do. This is kind of just below Black Myth Wukong and Lies of P. And by no stretch of the imagination is that negative. I spent over 200 hours with this game and I have enjoyed it. The thing is, it just lacks that little bit of polish and that little bit more time in the oven. And you get the feeling that this probably was rushed out, or probably wasn't where the developers wanted it to be once it was released, which is a shame. Another thing to take into consideration is I didn't pay for this game. This was free on Game Pass. I can be quite dismissive of games that are on Game Pass. If I invest in a game and I purchase it with my own money, I'm more likely to bear with it and try it a lot longer because I've wasted money on it. But when it's free, I tend to just play them. If it doesn't hit me within the first hour, I'll just move on. Ultimately, the fact that I did carry on and play this through for 200 odd hours just shows you how much I liked it. It'd be interesting to know your thoughts. So in the comments, let me know if you liked it, hated it, and why. So all that's left for me to say is bye. Bye.